Welcome to The Point of View. This is your favorite current affairs show here on Channel 1 Television. On The Point of View, we pick the right topics, get the right guests, and ask them relevant questions on issues that matter to you. Ghana has a 30-year plan to develop its infrastructure to make it a world-class country, 2018 to 2048. Tonight on The Point of View, we speak to the chairman of the NDPC on the road to 2048. We look at the roads, the railways, the airports, the seaports, the bridges, and also the energy and the digital infrastructure that will make Ghana a modern economy. Stay with us.
Love the Premier League? Your DSTV premium subscription could get you there in real life, Charlie. Stay connected for your chance to watch the Premier League live. Man U versus Man City at Old Trafford or Arsenal versus Man U in London. Stay connected to score with DSTV Premium. This promo is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform. Terms and conditions apply.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, mommy.
I'm
The second coming.
into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Trotro from Kaswati. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be later?
Of course.
Star 712 hash, star 712 hash. Yeah, you go be the luckiest. Coffee from Georgia be luckiest. From Natebia, cause she be luckiest. Yeah, you go be luckiest. No matter why you're luckiest. Everybody go be the luckiest.
That's Kwame!
Send your God the apple boom. If you put it at all, so would the coming of the Son of Man be. Is that his car?
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
Welcome back. So my guest tonight has had quite a journey in public life. For recent followers of his trajectory, he was an economic advisor to President John Mahama at the earlier parts of his first term, which was the 2013 to 2017 term. He later on became the Director General of the National Development Planning Commission. His chair at the time was Dr. Kwesi Botwe. Now he is the chairman of the NDPC, clearly following a certain trajectory. On the 22nd of October, he unveiled Ghana's Infrastructure Master Plan. It's an impressive program with the president as the special guest of honor, essentially telling us that by 2048, this is how Ghana will look like. Later in the show, we'll show you the 4 nodal points of that. We'll show you Tamale, Takoradi, Kumasi, and Accra in 2048. But for tonight, let's get the basis.
2047.
2047.
Yes.
Not 2048.
No. It's inclusive, so.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
I haven't heard from you since May 20th, 2025, when the president inaugurated the commission.
We've been very busy at the commission there under the Director Generalship of Dr. Audrey Smoke Amwa. So the commission has been, we had to finish the annual progress report. And for the first time ever in 30 years, we published it so that the public knows how government performs. And I always told journalists that if you really want to know how the government of the day performs, look at the annual progress report. Unfortunately, most people don't pay attention. So for the first time, it's been published. One of the slides I sent you showed about 13 different ministries and departments and agencies that did not submit their reports.
For 2024?
2024, which is a serious infraction, and I told Forcing is actually cracking the whip on that. And what is even more disturbing is that 2 of the number are two of the biggest spenders in the country, Ministry of Education and Ministry of Health.
Wow.
Between the two of them, they account for over 51% of government spending. And yet, when it came time to submit their annual progress report, they simply didn't do that. And then you go on TV or social media and you are being told about Tamale Hospital paying a dead person for 26 years. So it's a whole new approach now. Between NDPC and Ministry of Finance, we are changing things. So for the first time, as I said, the list is out there. ATU has actually made it conditional. Now, between the performance and besides the performance, every MDA is supposed to submit its medium-term and annual plans to the Ministry of Finance. But before they do that, NDPC is supposed to verify that to make sure that they align with the priorities of the government. We weren't doing that, and they were just getting the money and spending them anyhow. So now what ATU says is that if you do not get clearance from NDPC, we are not giving you money.
Wow.
Yes.
So this is an annual performance report?
That comes later at the end of the... But before you even finish this year, you are supposed to submit your medium-term and annual plans to the Ministry of Finance and say, okay, this is our medium-term 4 years, but for the first year, these are the things we're going to do, and this is how much it's going to cost.
And must that plan fit into anything?
Yes, it must reflect the president's priorities, the government's development priorities, which themselves are expressed in the coordinated program for economic and social development. There have been disconnects in the past. Now we want to close those gaps. So you are not going to get a budget unless you can demonstrate that your plan supports the president's development priorities.
So my plan as a ministry must reflect the president's development priority.
Exactly.
What is the president's priority based on?
It's based on the manifesto that he won the election on. It's based on his SONA. It's based on the budget. All these things are put together along with other policy frameworks into what is known as the coordinated program of economic and social development policies. It's a constitutional requirement.
Fair enough. So where does what you do come in?
We actually support the president in the preparation of the coordinated program. So as I speak with you, we are wrapping it up. But because of challenges of transition and time limitations, what we do is that we create a policy matrix that goes out to the ministries for them to start work even before the coordinated program is finished. And then once it's done, we'll fit them all together. As part of the Constitution Review Commission's processes, one thing is to renew or actually amend the way that part of it is prepared. But it's quite tough, but we've done.
I was hoping you were going to say the coordinated program is based on the long-term development plan. That's what I was hoping to hear you say.
There are elements, I perfectly understand that. There are elements of the coordinated program from the because the long-term national development plan was not officially adopted. And that's what people are calling for. And that's what it pains me, actually, that I lost my brother Mutala, because just before that, we actually had a very insightful discussion where he told me that he was a planner and he was actually advocating for that. So it needs some sort of a legal basis for it to become binding on all governments. But despite that, the president still, because that was his legacy, the key aspects of his development priorities that came from the 40-year National Development Plan, such as the 24-hour economy. Most people don't know that, but it was actually regionally in the 40-year National Development Plan, and actually have 4 shifts. People talk about 3 shifts. They have 4 shifts of 6, 6, 6, 6, depending on productivity. We have things like the competition law, the consumer protection law. All these are part of the long-term National Development Plan. So yes.
So you're saying some of the manifesto promises of the president and MDC came from the 40-year development plan?
Definitely came from the 40-year.
When was this plan done, by the way?
With the 40-year National Development Plan. It was we started it in 2015, and then when we left in 2017, it was a wrap-up. But it was supposed to start in 2018 implementation from 2018 to 2057. And now let me clarify that it wasn't a single plan. It was a strategic overarching plan that was supposed to guide the preparation and implementation of 10 4-year plans. So currently, we've already finished with 2 of the 4-year plans. They're gone. As I speak with you, we are preparing the 3rd one, 2026 to 2029. And I'm emphasizing that because people have a habit of saying, well, 40 years is too long. Well, 8 years have already come and gone as a result of that. And we've made so many critical targets that we could have.
Maybe let me help viewers to see what you are talking about here. So you're saying that the 40-year plan is this, right?
Yes, exactly.
So
10 medium-term plans.
So we are here.
We finished 2025 almost.
We are going here.
And as I speak with you, we are preparing the 2026, 2029, which includes the 40-year, the 24-hour economy. It was in the 40-year National Development Plan. The president wanted the opportunity to do that in 2022. He didn't. So he wins in 2024 and says, let me implement my 24-hour economy.
So the 40-year development plan. So what you launched last few days, which was the infrastructure plan.
Yes.
Starts from 2018.
Yes, both of them, except that one finishes earlier. The infrastructure plan was supposed to be 30 years, finishing in 2047. And then the long-term plan itself would finish.
So the infrastructure plan will end somewhere here?
Yes, between
somewhere here.
Yes, this and this 47. And then even before that, we have something known as the National Spatial Development Framework. That one was 20 years. And it was meant to deal with slums, make sure that we have proper human settlements planning. You look at Accra now, in fact, the whole country now is a slum. There's one massive, sprawling slum with a few nice buildings here and there, but it's all slum. And so we had the National Spatial Development Framework, which was the first of its kind since 1964, by the way. Yes, and we never had that.
Some people think that if we want this type of vision to work, we must give the NDPC implementing powers. NDPC, based on Constitution, Article 87(1), shall advise the President on Development Planning Policy and Strategy, and then study and make economic and strategic analysis of macroeconomic. So basically making proposals. You are basically advising. Some people feel like beyond that, you should have the mandate to, because they're saying Ghana's problem is not a planning problem. Ghana's problem is an implementation problem. And you have the technocrats that can work with this. So what do you say to that?
No, we have MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies, and then MMDAs, metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies. They have the mandate and the institutions to implement policy. NDPC does not have the mandate or the capacity to implement policy, but NDPC can guide or advise for the preparation of those policies, and then after it's done with supporting policy preparation, it then monitors the implementation of those policies and reports on. So it's more or less division of labor. NDPC supporting policy formulation and then leaving it to the MDAs to implement them. And then once they've done with those, we monitor them to make sure that they actually do what they were supposed to do. So yes, I've heard the calls for NDPC to implement, but that's what we have the civil service for. Their mandate is to implement the policy of any government of the day. NDPC supports policy and then monitors how the government performs.
On 22nd October, you presented something, and something shocked me. The uneven distribution of economic opportunity in Ghana, and I want us to start from there. It sounded really bad in a sense that Greater Accra has just 1.4% of the country's land size.
Yes.
Yet it has almost 90% of all FDI. Number two, apart from Greater Accra and Ashanti, most regions have less than 1% or less of FDI. I mean, it's unfathomable. What year are we talking about here? This thing?
This is last year.
Wow. Yeah. So Greater Accra has 86% of the country's FDI. Accra is 37% of Ghana's GDP.
Accra City. And then the Greater Accra metropolitan area, that has 43. So pretty much everything is Accra. And bear in mind that not long ago, about 10, 15 years ago, Greater Accra was 80 and Ashanti was 10.
Wow.
And now Ashanti is down to 9 and Greater Accra is up to 86. Again, that's because we have no strategic vision of anything we do. And that's why we keep saying, let's embrace the long-term planning, because with the long-term, without all these things in mind, how to begin to redistribute economic opportunities and remove the pressure from one part of the country. And this, because in the end, what you have is stagnation in Great Accra itself, because nothing really moves, and then deprivation in the rest of the country. So this then would have been situated in the context of decentralization. on the other extreme of the slide
Yeah.
is the population
Persons-
density.
Yeah.
The national average is 129.
And Greater Accra has 1,681 people per square kilometer.
Compared to one, and that's Greater Accra. If you take out the rest of Greater Accra and zero in on Accra itself, we're probably looking at 3,000, if not more, persons. So it's just sheer madness.
So there's an obvious spatial dimension to our development problem.
Precisely, and it's only,
Wow.
again, as I said the other day, the first attempt to rectify this, because Accra has always been disproportionately favored in terms of national resources, but it wasn't as pronounced as this. And so the first attempt was in 1965 to try and address this. And then 1966, we threw away the program, and then it has gotten steadily untenable. And then as if to make matters worse, we then sit in Accra and give a contract to one or two companies in Accra and say, go and clean gutters in the 260 district assemblies, which makes because cleaning is the most localized activity you can imagine.
To create jobs for people.
Exactly.
And then the ownership.
But what you do then, when you do that, you then siphon wealth from all these 260 district assemblies to Accra. And therefore you aggravate the poverty and inequality. And so let's say one city turns around 5 times in an assembly, for example, as part of economic activity, and government pays 10 million cedis for somebody in Accra collecting garbage there. What the government has effectively done is actually siphoned 50 million. The government may think it's paying 10 million, but it's actually taking 50 million cedis.
Wow.
And if you get just 10 assemblies, that's 500 million cedis siphoned from them to Accra. And then when people come to Accra, basically following the money, we say, no, go back. Accra is well, if you don't want them to come to Accra, don't take their money. Trust me, they won't come.
The 50-year plan, or the plan you have, has about 8 components. I want to touch on each briefly before I go into a video.
Sure.
And I saw a few. Before this, I noticed that one of the challenges we have is also productivity.
Exactly.
And green is agric, pink is industry and manufacturing.
Construction, yeah.
And then blue is finance.
Mm-hmm. No, actually, there's several of them.
Blue is services.
Finance, yeah.
So basically, you're saying that the most productive part of our economy is services, based on what I'm seeing. Because, because at least employment, average annual change.
No. Actually, it's a slightly different interpretation.
Then explain that to
What
me.
it says is that on the horizontal axis, the further you go, the more productive you are in terms of the efficient utilization of resources.
Okay.
That means profits are high, wages are high, the tax base is high, and government can benefit from that. And as you go on the vertical one, it means you are creating jobs.
Okay.
In this very example, the only 2 of the industries surveyed, this was by the Ghana Statistical Service, the first of its kind, by the way, is corporate agriculture. It is both highly productive and highly labor intensive. It's the only one
corporate
like that.
agriculture.
Corporate agriculture.
What does corporate agriculture
They mean like large scale with modern agricultural practices, agronomic practices, management, international. They're highly sophisticated.
So you want these things to move to the top?
Exactly. You've just summarized it.
So very productive, labor intensive.
Move
it up there.
The catch with mining and quarrying is that it's highly productive.
But doesn't employ a lot of people.
It's actually negative. It sheds jobs over time. You see, it's
so when they
the
sack
line.
people, they are more productive.
Say that again?
When they sack people, they are more productive. Maybe that's why people are doing galamsey.
No. It's a global phenomenon, by the way, because what's happening is part of the reason is that they are also mechanizing.
But this is formal mining, because I'm sure if you bring in galamsey, it probably moves here.
Exactly.
Because it's labor intensive, galamsey.
Exactly. But then it may not move up. It may be labor intensive. So in that case, it will be here.
Then it will come this way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Labor intensive, but low productivity.
So like construction.
Exactly.
People involved, but not that.
Precisely. And we highlight these things because this is where our future lies. If we pay attention to these areas, construction, what really beat my mind was accommodation and food. That's tourism. It really shouldn't be that all. It should be all the way up there. But all these things require a strategic vision.
Wonderful.
And then you begin to work your way backwards. And you lay out the road.
Well, the point of view tonight is not just analyzing. I want to paint a picture for you of the type of country we want to see. Professor Nii Moi Thompson, or Dr. Nii Moi Thompson, my guest.
I beg you, don't call me professor before.
Is the chairman of the NDPC on October 22 was Tuesday or Wednesday, I don't even remember.
Yeah,
they launched
Wednesday, yeah.
the Ghana Infrastructure Plan. We're going to walk you through the plan when we come back. Very beautiful videos of where roads will be, railway, electronic vehicles, energy, infrastructure.
Everything.
Everything. We're going to get into some of those. And also the 4 key spatial areas for development. When we come back, we'll jump into all of those. Stay with us.
Welcome to the Africa Prosperity Dialogues, where business and political leaders meet to drive Africa's single market.
Distinguished guests, this is our moment to make history. We must act not in isolation, but together as united Africa.
Under the patronage of His Excellency John Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana, and in partnership with the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, the Africa Prosperity Network presents the Africa Prosperity Dialogues 2026 under the theme Empowering SMEs, Women and Youth in Africa's Single Market. Innovate, collaborate, trade.
Ghana is proud to be the home of this important dialogue series, and it will continue to enjoy my utmost support to make subsequent summits even greater.
Register now at africaprosperitynetwork.com or call or WhatsApp at +233 536 098 325.
Announcing Ghana's first unlimited photocopier leasing. Yes, from just 983 Ghana cedis, you can lease a multifunctional photocopier and print unlimited. Yes, unlimited and free paper every month. Guess what? That's not all. Toners, repairs, and maintenance all are free. And oh, I'm not kidding at all. And we cover the whole country. Yes, the whole country. What are you waiting for? Just visit us at www.valexlease.com or call 0244 644048. Remember, terms and conditions apply. Valex Lease, affordable document management solutions.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Trout from Kaswa. Why wouldn't he be late? Or be late, of course.
Coffee be the luckiest. Coffee from Georgia be luckiest. From not the block, she be luckiest. Yeah, you coffee be luckiest. No matter why you're lucky. Everybody go be the luckiest.
That Kwame!
Send your God the apple boom. If you put it toye, so would the coming of the son of man be. Is that his car?
Dial star 712 #. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
Welcome back. So the point of view tonight is trying to paint a picture of Ghana by 2047. Dr. Nii Moi Thompson and his team at NDPC say it's doable if we can apply our minds and resources to it. I'm going to show you a quick video they put together highlighting some of the key components of this infrastructural vision. Enjoy.
Ghana spans an area of 238,000 square kilometers and has an Atlantic coastline that stretches 560 kilometers on the Gulf of Guinea. With a population of 30 million people, it is projected that Ghana's population will rise to 57 million by its centenary year of 2057. Since independence, Ghana has progressively made strides in modernizing and expanding its infrastructure stock, including roads, telecommunications, and ports. However, these investments have not spared the desired industrial growth and economic transformation, as services such as water, sanitation, and electricity still lag behind for citizens and industry. Presently, the country has a transportation system dominated by road transport, limited rail coverage that serves only the southern part of the country, one international airport, and 2 large deep water ports. Despite the rapid growth in electricity demand, much of the existing energy infrastructure is now old, inefficient, and in need of replacement. Clean energy has remained underdeveloped, undermining productivity and derailing economic transformation. Water, sanitation, and sewage systems have also come under increasing pressure because of the population growth. Certainly, these deficits need to be reversed quickly to set the country on track towards the transformation agenda as outlined in the vision of the Ghana at 100 policy framework. The National Development Planning Commission launched the Ghana Infrastructure Plan in 2018. The plan encapsulates Ghana's long-term vision in strategic direction for infrastructure development within a 30-year planning horizon. It provides a coordinated and integrated approach to infrastructure planning, prioritization, funding, and delivery by engaging with stakeholders across the private sector, industry, and communities. The Ghana Infrastructure Plan envisages that by 2047, the country would attain the status of a high-income economy with an industrialized, diversified, export-oriented, and resilient economy that is very competitive against other players in the global economy. To support Ghana's plans to industrialize and to transit into a mature economy, Ghana will operate a liberalized energy market in which the private sector finances and delivers most infrastructure. The government is taking new actions to diversify energy sources, whilst ensuring access to affordable, clean, and efficient energy supply to safeguard future economic security. To ensure security of electricity supply, new hydroelectric and thermal power plants, including the Pualugu and Jubilee projects, will be completed. Solar power generation will be expanded, and new sources from coal, nuclear plants, and biomass will become important contributors. By 2047, a total of 50,000 megawatts of power will be available to drive industrial development and enhance livelihood opportunities for citizens. This will be composed of increased contributions from new energy sources such as nuclear and renewable, as well as old ones such as petroleum. A reliable and high-performing road network.
50,000 megawatts. The video is not over. I just felt that was an interesting area to look at. Because I think a few years ago we were told that Ghana produces more power than it needs. Now, NDPC is telling us that by 2037 we should be producing 50,000 megawatts of power. And they list very interesting sources. So not just the traditional hydro and thermal. They're talking solar and all kinds of things. Why does, move this back to energy, why does energy begin this conversation for 2047 infrastructure?
Think of the sun and life on Earth. Without the sun, there's no life. Without energy, really, we're not going anywhere. With energy, you've actually solved a substantial part of our infrastructure deficits. So, for example, the roads may be bad, but at least a tailor would have reliable electricity to operate, a hairdresser, and so forth. It doesn't mean that the roads are not important, but energy is central to everything else. Once you get the energy done, everything else can pretty much follow. With respect to this belief that we have more energy than we really need, the problem is really the opposite. We don't have enough industrial activity to consume the electricity that we produce. That's what led to the surplus. If we're really powering the economy the way it should, it wouldn't have been this.
As we speak, we have a lot of, the mix is basically hydro, some thermal.
Thermal primarily, yeah.
We don't have a lot of solar.
No.
We don't have a lot of nuclear. So does the energy future include some kind of optimal mix?
Sure.
And what are the areas you're looking at?
As a matter of fact, the program that you just listed that took place on Wednesday, there was a little model there for nuclear. And the president stopped by and chatted a little bit. He wants to have more briefing on that. And so nuclear is very much an integral part of it. Chances are it will be the base energy where the major consumers of electricity will then get their electricity from. Solar is picking up gradually, but we need this strategic framework for us to know whether we're making progress or not. On one of the slides, and I would like you to show that, you will see, in fact, when we did the 40-year National Development Plan, we also decided to focus on innovative ways of measuring progress.
Okay.
So, for example, when it comes to electricity, what you often hear is access. So currently we're doing around 90% access, which is quite impressive when you compare it to, let's say, Germany, which has 100% access. But then we introduced another term, or we highlighted because it already existed, called electricity consumption per capita. That's more important than access. Access is simply proximity to the source of it. But how much are you then getting from it? So if you look at us in terms of access, Germany is 90%. But when you look at electricity consumption per capita, we are only 9% of that of Germany. So this needs to lead us. Unfortunately, because no one followed that, we did make some incremental progress, but there were major shortfalls in that particular area when it comes to meeting the targets that we set in the 40-year National Development Plan. That means when it is revised or revived next year, we'll have to cover the lost ground and begin to ramp up everything. And hopefully enough capacity and focus will be developed this year.
And hopefully this is power people can afford.
Sure. So accessibility, affordability, dependability, all those elements will have to be factored in. But it also goes with economic growth. If the economy is growing and people are earning enough, certainly they'll be able to afford reasonably priced.
So a diversified energy sector with affordable, clean and efficient power.
Precisely.
When people think of infrastructure, I think the next thing they think about is transport.
Precisely.
Roads are big. Let's go back to the video to see what it says about roads and other transport systems, and then we'll discuss that.
Okay.
Yeah. A reliable and high-performing road network helps to improve productivity. The government is committed to addressing the transport sector by building a better and smarter road network that drives growth. Ghana's road network of 78,000 kilometers will increase to 253,000 kilometers by 2047, including an ambitious resurfacing program. A $272 billion investment will be required to achieve this target. The government is committed to delivering the bus rapid transit system to increase use of public transportation in major urban areas. Additional bus routes will be created to connect major cities.
This is very interesting. So we currently have 78,000 kilometers of roads, and we're hoping that by 2047, 253,000, that's 3.5 times. And the amount is interesting. 272 billion. Now, for context, the big push, 13 billion cedis for this year. Now, 13 billion cedis in dollars is probably like $1 billion, or maybe $1.2 billion.
Okay, that's a year, per year. Don't forget the big push.
I know. This is a big amount.
Yes.
Where is the money going to come from?
Okay, a number of things. It's an indicative figure one. There's an aspect of the plan itself that tries to or looks to maximize the utilization of local resources, materials. So that can also have an impact on that. Now, broadly, there are two ways of financing infrastructure, broadly. We have what is known as pay as you go. So you collect your revenue and you pay. That's what we've been doing in Ghana, and it's not sustainable, especially for big ticket items. And then the second one is known as intergenerational financing. And that is based on the belief that, hey, this road we're building is going to benefit more than our generation. It's going to benefit future generations. And so let's structure the financing such that the payment of the road or for the road is spread across generation. And usually that takes the form of debt, bonds, and so forth and so on. This will require a whole approach, and as part of the plan as a whole, we are going to develop what is known as infrastructure governance, such that every single peso was spent is actually accounted for, because efficiency in the process of delivering these things will be highly critical. Otherwise, you can spend all that money and end up with virtually nothing. And a good example of that is what we did with the $11.025 billion for Eurobonds for quote-unquote debt management and infrastructure development. Within a matter of years, we were in debt distress, and there was virtually no infrastructure to speak of. So infrastructure governance is going to play a major role in this. Now, secondly, even though we talk about transport infrastructure, it's actually transport and logistics. So as a result of that, we have 9 thematic committees at the Commission now.
Okay.
One of them is looking at transport and logistics. Because it's one thing to build a road, but how the road is utilized and the purposes for which it's utilized are equally important.
Can you comment on 2 quick points? I watched Tanzania. They built the 7th longest bridge in Africa for about $270 million. All of that money came from Tanzania.
Yes.
Ethiopia is building over 5,000 megawatts dam.
Yes.
They say all the money is coming from Ethiopia.
Yeah. And Ethiopians abroad.
But it's Ethiopian money.
Yeah, Ethiopian.
How much of this 272 will come from Ghanaians and how much of it will come from abroad? Do you know? Or is it possible to know at this stage?
There's actually nothing wrong with getting infrastructure financing from abroad. It's done and it's good. The idea is to leverage what you have.
All right.
So you could have 10 billion, you can leverage that to raise 100 billion. And therefore you can get even more done. So there's absolutely
nothing.
But
if your FX exposure, I think the problem with Ghana is that we were driven to the international capital markets. The terms are very, very unfavorable. One of the reasons why we had the economic crisis of 2022 was that you're borrowing at commercial rates to do long-term projects.
Well, if you did long-term projects at all.
But that's the point, because generally the commercial rates you're borrowing from those bond markets, some of them are very short-termist in nature. And they are very expensive.
Exactly.
And you also have FX exposure. So if you started borrowing and the city was 5 cities, and you start paying and the city is 17, you're going to indebt my children.
No. The problem is the mix. Nobody, and it's actually in some countries they actually have a law against borrowing short-term to finance infrastructure. And a minister of finance can actually go to jail if they borrowed on the short end of the market to finance infrastructure. 2 is what you use the money for. If the money had actually gone into infrastructure, because if you read the budget, it says liability management and infrastructure. And yet you go through it, there's hardly any evidence of spending on infrastructure. Because if you did, the infrastructure pays for itself and it becomes self-sustaining. So that's why the issue, and I can't say that enough, infrastructure governance is going to be a central part of the implementation of this infrastructure plan, so that no one can go and stand in parliament and say, well, I'm going to borrow for infrastructure, and there's zero oversight. No one, as I said here, no one really knows what happened to the $11 billion.
We've heard the finance ministry say in the 2026 budget, they will double the amount they allocate to the big push.
Yes.
My question is, how diverse are the financing sources for that money? Because for now, almost all the money for big push is coming from oil money. Right? So do you know where else they are hoping to get money from? Because I want to bring this home. November 13 is when they're reading the budget, right? Have we started thinking about other sources apart from oil money for infrastructure?
That is the responsibility of NDPC to come up. So we're actually going to set up a team to look at all the, we call it sources and strategies for financing infrastructure. And they have to be viable. We have to begin to talk about issues of infrastructure bonds, both for the national and also for subnational district assemblies, municipal bonds, as we say. But first, the macro environment itself will have to be tamed. One reason why we haven't done so well on that is that inflation has been prohibitively high. And once cities or even the central government has to borrow bonds and pay at very high, it becomes a problem. So the macro environment is very critical, but we definitely need bonds, infrastructure bonds. I was told that we have something like 100 billion cedis, one of the pension funds, just looking for opportunities for investment. Ghanaians last year invested $2 billion in cryptocurrencies abroad so we don't have all these opportunities and we need to fish those out. And after the launch We are now going to have a special committee that will look at the possibilities and advise the president accordingly. Because as you read, our duty is to advise the president.
Wonderful.
Yes.
If you're watching this, we're discussing Ghana's infrastructure plan. 2047 is the date. If you are alive, hopefully you'll be enjoying. A couple of things I noticed. Old roads are vertical. New roads are horizontal, which means that the government is planning, or the plan is basically saying, right now when you want to travel up north and south is better, but you can't really travel across. So a lot of the reds show travel across, so that's good. Number 2 point, remember, from 78K to 250,000 kilometers, that's almost a factor of 3.2. Let's continue by watching the video that talks about other forms of transportation.
But before you do that, let me just emphasize also that the preparation of the plan actually started in 2015 as part of the 40-year National Development Plan. And then it was revised later on, 2018, thereabout, and thereafter things kind of trailed off.
So it was revised in 2018 under a different government?
Yes, but then thereafter it trailed off.
No, but hold on, just relax. The problem with NDPC has been that, or development generally has been that when governments change, new king, new law, right? So whether it trailed off or not, the fact that we are discussing something that has the date 2018 on it should be good enough.
2015 it started, so
no,
it's been a decade.
No, 2018 to 2047. And 2018.
Oh, you mean the implementation plan?
That's my point.
No, okay, so let me just clarify that, see what you're saying. The planning started in 2015 as part of the 40-year development plan. It was substantially completed in 2016, and implementation was supposed to start in 2018.
Fair enough.
Because the long-term national development
plan was supposed to. President Akufo-Addo announced Year of Roads, I think 2018.
Yeah.
So what I'm basically trying to say is that, fair enough, it was started under NDC government.
Yes.
But the date on it is 2018 under a different government.
Yes.
And to cure this idea that a new government comes to change plans, we need to credit, even if it's just 1.5 years of Akufo-Addo under this, he received the plan from you. You and Kwesi Boche presented it to him.
Yeah, right.
He seemed pretty interested in it.
Yes.
So maybe things trailed off after COVID. But if we just make it an NDC thing, if an NPP government comes, they'll stop it. Is that not the problem of our development?
That's the thing. Nowhere does it say it's an NDC thing.
Which is what I'm trying to say, that you have to credit them too.
Who?
NPP.
No one. As a matter of fact, the speech that I gave on Wednesday, I mentioned Ghana Beyond Aid because the president mandated us to come up with a composite long-term national development plan that will embrace everything. So I mentioned Ghana Beyond Aid. I mentioned Ghana at 100. I mentioned the perspective framework for long-term development. These were 3 documents that were developed under the previous government.
Wonderful.
I recognized all those as part of this renewed effort.
Well done. Let's talk about transportation beyond roads, because if people believe that this issue of movement is the issue, it's not just roads, right? How does the plan hope to have an integrated mobility system? Let's watch the rest of the video.
Intelligent transportation systems and electric vehicles will be introduced across the country as part of the mass transport system. This will improve road safety, reduce traffic and accidents by 90%. The vision of the aviation sector is to position Ghana as the preferred aviation hub for business in West Africa. The Kotoka International Airport has recently been expanded to make it one of the best connected countries in the world. The Tamale and Kumasi airports, being upgraded to the status of international airports, will be completed to open up opportunities and connections to Ghana. Smaller airports such as the Sunyane and Takoradi airports will be expanded to handle current and future capacity requirements, including emergency, medical and tourism purposes. The vision of the maritime sector is to provide an efficient, reliable, multimodal transport and contribute to enhance regional economic development within a safe, affordable and sustainable environment. There has been a significant investment activity at Tema and Takoradi ports of over $3 billion to support current and future freight movements. This port development program will reposition Tema as the leading container hub of the ECOWAS region and Takoradi as the dominant oil and gas services hub. The Ghana Infrastructure Plan seeks to encourage inland transport that will cater for long-term growth in import and export trade by sea and to support domestic freight movements. This will involve the completion of the Buankra Inland Port on a 400-acre parcel of land in the Ashanti region to support trade with other landlocked countries and the development of the Buipe and Akosombo ports to facilitate inland transport. Rail transport currently forms less than 1% of Ghana's transportation modal mix for passenger transport and 3% for freight. Over the next 30 years, a $26 billion network rail enhancement program will increase Ghana's rail network from 947 kilometers to 4,007 kilometers across the entire country.
Very interesting things that have been told there. Rail is less than 1% for passenger movement, less than 3% for freight. And we're hoping to increase our rail from 947 kilometers to 4,000.
Yeah.
But it's just a modest 26 billion. Is this for the 30 years or just for a few years?
No, for the whole period. And there's a presentation that actually has a table that shows that 80% of the materials that we often import for rails can be sourced locally.
Wonderful.
Only 20% would come from outside with some technical assistance, but it's quite inspiring. It was inspiring to me when I saw that 80%. I will send that to you.
My worry is that rail, I'm told, is more expensive than roads over a shorter term. But
you mean the cost of production?
Yes. So I'm surprised that the investment is $26 billion when roads is $270 billion. So I suspect this is not for the full period.
It moves in stages, as I said, but the bulk of it would actually be sourced locally, as opposed to...
So you think the cost... Because you did also do a presentation a few weeks ago to say that the cost of our infrastructure projects were over-ballooned. And
who did that?
I think it was an NDPC presentation about cost of projects.
Oh, yeah, but from the annual progress reports. Yes. There are a number of a number of issues. Some of it is procurement malfeasance, but some is also the result of macroeconomic instability, where you propose or you start a project and cost it at, let's say, 20 million, and then the CD goes out of haywire or inflation, and then it shoots up. All those things. There's a whole section, actually, on abandoned projects that we did in 2015 also. And the difference was actually quite interesting. Projects that were funded by the District Assembly's Common Fund tended to have a likelihood of being abandoned, a higher likelihood of being abandoned by those funded by donors, because they had different procedures and so forth. And one of the things we found, according to the public consultations, was that some DCEs were actually starting projects anew. They ignore existing ones and start new ones so they could use that to campaign to become MPs.
Does the real plan give any special focus to the Western region? Because it will seem to me as if, because of the strategic location of the region, timber, mining, cocoa, rail does well with freight.
Yes. So
is the Western region enclave being contemplated as like the center of our rail?
Yes. They usually have ways of cross-subsidizing the cost. So rail, the benefits from rail may be used to subsidize transport, regular transport. And this is going to be, in fact, one of the things, you mentioned the year of roads. We want to go beyond that, where every day, every week, every month is for roads. If you've been to certain cities, you've been to New York, you've been to Pretoria, they work on roads like year-round, as opposed to neglecting roads for 3 years, and then during election time, it spikes, and then we spend the next 3 years reducing, and then it spikes.
So every year will be a year of roads?
It has to be. Okay. It has to be. So, but then it will require serious institutional reforms, including transparency in procurement. Even the local assemblies, believe it or not, they don't do proper capital budgeting. So I've done research in a couple of them. You ask for capital expenditure, and now they have to go through something they call contracts file, which doesn't. So they don't even have, let's say, ideally you have an inventory of your assets. See when they were constructed, time for maintenance, and so forth and so on. And then usually, when I worked way back in the States on these things, we used to have a matrix of the projects where the sources of funding are going to come from, and then how you're going to operate and manage them. We don't do that in Ghana. So for instance, you have a situation where a district assembly gets a free school from, let's say, one of the mining companies, and that's it. It doesn't occur to them that in the future, you have to employ teachers, teachers' assistants, logistics, and so forth. So we are also going to aggressively promote reforms in capital budgeting to make this possible.
Let me finish the video,
sure,
and then I want you to take me through some of the geographical area plans.
Sure, sure.
All right, I think I am interested in Western region.
Okay.
I think that region has a lot of potential. And then maybe I'll do Tamale and then end with Kumasi or Accra.
Okay.
So let's wrap up with the video and then see what else the plan has.
Tema and Akosombo is ongoing. Other key priority rail projects will also include the Trans-ECOWAS line and the Accra-Ouagadougou line. Towards Ghana's vision for a sustainable transport system, a well-targeted metro rail system will be implemented in Accra, Kumasi, Tamale, and Sekondi-Takoradi. This will improve public transport and intercity connectivity in some of Ghana's busiest cities. Over 35% of Ghana's population, including businesses, are subscribed to superfast broadband. Over the next 3 decades, the vision for the ICT sector is to build a high-capacity digital infrastructure to drive economic growth, improve governance, enhance competitiveness, and support social development. National internet penetration is expected to double by 2047, as the government plans to invest $2.6 million to improve fiber optic connectivity across the country. Public places such as hospitals, schools, public parks, and business operating centers, including government services, will have access to ultra-fast broadband services. A well-functioning housing market is linked to the wider health of the economy. However, for decades, housing supply has not kept pace with the increasing demand from the growing population. The government is committed to increasing housing supply through infrastructure investment, urban regeneration programs, as well as new residential developments. Plans are underway to launch the National Urban Regeneration Program to breathe life into poorly developed land to be used for housing. This will not only phase out slums, but also deliver at least 100,000 new homes through private sector involvement. With extensive policy and institutional reforms to attain and sustain economic stability, Ghana is on its way to become one of the highest income countries in Africa.
So those were highlights of what the Ghana Infrastructure Plan hopes to achieve in the next, is it 30 years?
Yes.
If we
it
are
was
still
meant
there.
to be 30 years if we have started.
So I saw road transport, I saw rail, I saw aviation, I saw the ports, Takoradi and Tema. I'm not sure if I saw a lot here on inland water transport. We have, I think, the third largest man-made lake in the world, and by surface area, probably the largest.
Yes.
Maybe I missed it.
Is
there a plan for
definitely
for water transportation?
Yes, it was part of it, and it's still there, but it's already been implemented under the 24-hour economy.
Okay.
They're definitely going to implement it, and they started work on that. So inland water transport is definitely part of it. And there's a new plan.
Which means they'll build ports around places like Buipe and things.
Yes.
Because you look at the rail that takes you to Mpakadan,
right,
which is supposed to be close to the Volta.
Sure.
Some of the stuff we put on roads that we drive all the way to Tamale, if you put on that water from Mpakadan to Buipe, then you offload it.
In fact, there's a whole structure plan for Buipe. I will send that to you.
You have a Buipe structure?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a structure plan for Buipe. There are so many things under the 40-year National Development Plan. That's why it pains me when people think, oh, it's 40 years into the future. A lot of them were to be done within between 8 and 12 years. About 80% of the targets for the 40-year plan were to be met by either 2018, 2021, or 2025. And then the rest will simply be managing progress. Unfortunately, we missed it. But it's never too late. We can always retrace our steps.
We'll take a breather. When we come back, hopefully you can show me how places like Tamale, because we're in Tamale over the weekend for the Northern Business Fair, which we organize.
Well,
for people
congratulations.
who add value in Tamale. Like to see how places like Takoradi will look like in the next 30 years. This is the point of view. Dr. Nii Moi Thompson is my guest and he's walking us through the Ghana infrastructure plan. What will Ghana look like in 30 years? If you are alive, you will enjoy. But we have to also maintain what we have now. Because we have to start now.
Exactly.
Stay with us, we'll be right back.
When malaria strikes your home, it strikes everything. Sleep, peace, and even work. Don't miss deadlines because of malaria. Don't lose your sleep to malaria. No more endless worry because of malaria.
Ole Loco, enough!
Fight malaria back with Vegetem. Vegetem is effective, safe, and fast-acting against malaria. With its alu-alu packaging, Vegetem tablets stays effective right to the very last tablets. Vegetem is also available in suspension for children. Vegetem, tough on malaria, easy on you. If symptoms persist after 3 days, please consult a doctor. This advert is FDA approved.
This tote pays 3 salaries. This book keeps 2 children in school. This cream supports 5 households. Every product creates a job.
Afro-quality. Buy African, build Africa.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Trotro from Kaswati. Why wouldn't he be late? Obey you later.
Of course.
Star 712 hash, star 712 hash. Yeah, you go feel the luckiest. Go feel from Georgia be luckiest. From not the cause she be luckiest. Yeah, you go feel be luckiest. No matter why you're luckiest. Everybody go feel be the luckiest.
That's Kwame!
Send your God the apple boom. If you put it at all, so would the coming of the Son of Man be. Is that his car?
Dial star 712 #. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
So the point of view tonight is trying to give you a picture of Ghana by 2047. It's the Ghana infrastructure plan. The master plan was launched. The president was there. Dr. Nii Moi Thompson led the NDPC team. He's chairman of NDPC. He's given us a national overview of what the plan looks like. I want to go into 4 of the spatial issues. So let's start with Sekondi-Takoradi. There's a short video on what Sekondi-Takoradi is going to look like after the period. Here's a quick flavor of that.
Sekondi-Takoradi Metropolitan Area, the capital of the western region of Ghana, is popularly known as Oil City, following the discovery of oil off the shores of the region. The city covers an area of about 119 square kilometers and is driven by a strong industry and commercial sector. Timber, cocoa processing, plywood, port activities, crude oil and natural gas are major contributors to the local economy. As a rapidly expanding city, Sekondi-Takoradi has lots of potential, but nonetheless faces a number of constraints that require immediate attention, such as poor housing, inadequate civic and social amenities, and traffic congestion in the city center. To address these, a number of initiatives have been outlined that involve strategic planning with a focus on urban management and infrastructure development. To ease traffic in the metropolis, a bypass will be constructed around Takoradi. As part of the corridor development, the coastal corridor, which stretches from Nuepe and passes through Takoradi to Elubu, has been classified as a first priority corridor critical to the socio-economic development of the country. The present rail transport in Ghana traces its origin from 1896, when the then colonial government established a railway company in Takoradi to transport heavy equipment for mineral extraction. Later, this rail line radiated to cover other parts of the country to include passenger services. As part of the suburban rail network improvement, the metro railway line of Sekondi-Takoradi will have an estimated line of 35 kilometers with Kojo Krom as the central terminal. A proposed railway line from Cape Coast will provide suburban passenger and freight services for towns such as Nchaban and Shama along that corridor. Another suburban line is proposed to link New Takoradi to Kwesi with a proposed halt close to Market Circle. This line will cater for suburban passengers for the increasing number of passenger traffic along that corridor. Over the long term, the Sekondi-Takoradi line will be developed westwards to link the emerging oil and tourism towns of Cape Three Points, Princess Town, Domunli, Isiama, Ituabu, and Hafasini. The western line will facilitate freight transport to and from Takoradi Port to Kumasi and beyond. It will also provide suburban passenger service for towns on the route to Takoradi. The Takoradi Airport, currently owned and operated by the military, handles domestic air travel. A new greenfield airport development is planned at Princess Town to operate as a regional airport that will permit traffic to fly to and from the country into Takoradi. The Ghana Ports and Harbour Authority is responsible for the operations and maintenance of the Takoradi oil jetties. By 2030, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority expects to have completed all its planned projects that will make the port of Takoradi a dominant oil and gas services hub and also for dry bulk and mineral ore cluster. The Takoradi port is being repositioned through an extensive expansion and modernization program to better serve the needs of the oil and gas and the mining and trading sectors. The total investment cost for the final extension of the Takoradi port is estimated at $990 million. For businesses to thrive and public service to be more efficient, investments in information and communication technology will be expanded and deployed all over the city. Dilapidated parts of the inner city, such as Kojo Krom and Kwesi, will undergo urban renewal to revive those areas through mixed-use property development so as to provide vibrant and livable residential communities that are eco-friendly and economically prosperous.
So those were highlights of the plan for the Sekondi-Takoradi area. Really, really impressive. Are there timelines for this? So are we saying that by 2030, 84 goes well, this is the kind of story we'll see for Sekondi-Takoradi?
47, but we'll
sorry,
with,
47.
Right.
47.
The idea here is to update some of the key targets. Because as I said, the plan itself, the plan preparation started in 2015. It was substantially completed in 2016. And implementation was supposed to start in 2018 to 2047. It never really took off. So now that we are reinstituting the long-term plan, some of the targets...
So we're like a decade late.
Pretty much.
In a way,
yeah, pretty much. But we can...
In implementation.
In implementation. But the ideas are still there. So it's just a question of tweaking certain targets and mobilizing the necessary resources. One good thing about long-term plans, which unfortunately people don't seem to appreciate, is that it helps in the mobilization of resources. Investors are looking for countries with long-term vision. The second they hear that, they all want to invest in something. So the plan, the original one, the 40-year National Development Plan, projected that we would need 20.2 million rooms in Ghana by 2047. And it gave the quantity of cement, quantity of sand, quantity of iron rods. And so businesses were supposed to start investing in 2018 based on that. That never happened. So now we are going to revise everything, put a team together and say, listen, this is what we're expecting in 2047, but you have to start investing now.
I was shocked to see the slide you showed. 86% of FDI is Accra. Takoradi was just 1%.
Yes.
Unbelievable, because you have cocoa, gold, timber, and all of that. You'd have expected a lot more FDI into the Western.
That's because there's no master plan. Investors are constantly looking for that. And when you don't have that, when they come in, they tend to look for their own pet projects that do not always align with your national development priorities. And I remember clearly when we started in 2015, there were some investors that went to the Ghana mission to the UN in New York, demanding to know when we would finish because they were interested in some of these things. Light rails, they talked about light rails in Accra, Kumasi, Tamale, and Sekondi-Takoradi. They're all interested in it. But we need to, one, decentralize, because I was just told by an engineer that one of the reasons we cannot get investors to do PPP for highways in Ghana, that they realized that the transportation density outside of Accra was too low. And so it's not profitable.
So if you don't have economic enclaves outside Accra and people moving...
So everything is in Accra, and Accra is choked.
Let's go to Tamale. We actually were in Tamale over the weekend for the Northern Business Fair. We spent 2 days there promoting made in Ghana clothes, food, cosmetics, and everything else. Let's see what the infrastructure plan has for Tamale, and we'll see what we can discuss.
And then we'll talk about SADA, now that you're talking about Tamale. So SADA was part of it.
Wonderful.
Under the Ghana Infrastructure Plan, the Greater Tamale Metropolitan Area, the capital of the Northern region, is aiming to recapture its image as the pride of the North and will serve as the gateway to the Sahel. At the core, this metropolitan area comprises the Tamale Metropolis and Sagnarigu Municipality. Tamale is the 4th largest city in Ghana and one of the fastest growing in ECOWAS. As the largest urban center in the northern sphere of the country, the city has witnessed strong growth in terms of its economy and urbanization. The economy of the city region has seen growth in predominantly non-agrarian employment, especially in high-value industrial sector jobs such as electricity and construction, and in service jobs such as in consumer services, business services, and the public service. However, the economy still depends on low technology activities and a large informal sector. The Tamale City region possesses tremendous potential to catalyze the transformation of the Northern Savannah Ecological Zone and reinforce its role as the gateway to the Sahel region through the provision of the requisite infrastructure that will help in generating economic growth, creating employment opportunities, and improving the livelihoods of the growing city. These prospects notwithstanding, the Tamale City region is increasingly confronted with challenges associated with urbanization, including urban sprawl, traffic congestion, poor housing, and generally inadequate infrastructure vis-à-vis the rising demand from the growing population. Presently, the city has in place the essential infrastructure for both air and vehicular connectivity. In the years to come, domestic and international travel by road linking Tamale to Ghana's main cities of Accra, Kumasi, and Takoradi is expected to cater for over 1.2 million passengers per year. Tamale will be a key sub-regional hub, serving trade linkages in West Africa and catering for up to 100,000 passengers annually by air. Complementing the aviation sector, the Tamale City region will intensify business opportunities through marine transportation as the port facilities in Yape and Buipe are expanded. Marine transportation service to northern Ghana will be further enhanced by the improvement of the Makango port, which is 140 kilometers away from Tamale. Together, these three ports will diversify the dependence on the central northern-south road corridor for the haulage of goods. By road, Tamale is a key node on the Accra-Tema to Ouagadougou international route. A ring road bypassing Tamale town center will be constructed for vehicles that have no business in Tamale to reduce congestion in the city. As part of the railway development under the Ghana Infrastructure Plan, there will be an 85-kilometer metro rail system serving the Tamale City region, linking the old and new central business districts, the international airports, and a freight station. In addition, the multimodal hub function of Tamale is further reinforced by the service of the Accra-Ouagadougou rail corridor, with Phase 2 developing the Kumasi to Paga section. A branch of this line, covering 102 kilometers and costing approximately $570 million, will link Tamale to Yendi and enable the full exploitation of the untapped 2.7 billion metric tons of iron ore reserves in Sheni. Under the Northern Regional Irrigation Scheme, the smaller tributaries of the Volta River running within the city region and other streams will be tapped for massive irrigation initiatives, supporting agricultural production to meet the demand of the 50 million population in the Sahelian sub-region. The irrigation infrastructure will also feed into an afforestation program that counters desertification, which is instigated by human-centered activities in addition to climate change-related factors. For businesses to thrive and public services to be more efficient using information and communication technology, there will be underground 24 core fiber optic cables connecting the metropolis with the rest of the country, with key nodes at Buipe and Tamale. Moreover, the planned enhancement of industrial capacity will be further boosted by a 40-megawatt hydropower plant in Daboya, 65 kilometers from Tamale. And with the reliable power supply, industries are expected to grow their production capacity substantially. The indigenous neighborhoods that have run down and become full-blown slums, such as Moshi Zongo and Tishigu, will be upgraded. Investing in the development of the Tamale City region will create wealth and enhance the well-being of residents. Tamale.
Still on the point of view, a journey into the mind of our development planners with great ideas for Tamale. I thought that was quite impressive.
Very.
I don't even know where to start from, because SADA was something that was meant to change the northern parts of the country, and for some reason, it's become the butt of jokes. How serious is this, and how feasible is what you're talking about here?
It is highly feasible. All it requires now is commitment at the highest level. You mentioned SADA. SADA, at the time, it covered the 3 northern regions, plus the top of Volta, which is now OT, and then the top of BA. And it was more ecological in nature. And if you read the SADA master plan, and then the Tamale City master plan, within 12 to 15 years, there was going to be such an industrial transformation in the upper half of the country that we envision a situation where someone will finish school in Accra or Sekondi or Flower, and the first place they're going to look for job will be Wa or Bolga or something, because that was and it was going to cover the whole spectrum from low skills to high skills, food technologies, because agro-industry was going to be the heart of all these things. Now, it's unfortunate that it never happened the way we envisioned it, but we have a second chance. That's why we are putting this out there, for the people to see what is possible and what we use their money for, because these things cost a lot of money. And they were just sitting there in our computers. No one even knew that we had done this for them. So now that we've revived it and we are trying to get the public buy-in, we'll go around. We're not going to have the extensive and costly consultations we did in the past. Everyone knows what we want now. There's going to be some minor consultations here and there, but the main thing is, 1, mobilize resources, and 2, mobilize the people. So that when I'm not there or the Director General is not there, it is the people who are going to drive the project, and not an individual who says, well, I don't like the name of the plan, or I don't like the size of the document, which is what happened.
Do you have an idea of the issue of migration? You notice that a lot of the migration, particularly of low-skilled labor down south, is from the northern part of the country, Kai and the rest of it. Does this anticipate some sort of reverse migration?
Yes, precisely, because it's going to create the employment opportunities. For people don't know this, but SADA also came with a proposed SADA Development Bank.
Okay.
Because Charles Ibugri, who led the whole process, envisioned that, listen, the cost of credit in Ghana is so high that we cannot transform the SADA region with regular banks. So embedded in the SADA plan was a SADA Development Bank. And if we had even implemented half of that, man, things would be completely different today. But then again, I don't despair. The important thing is that one, we have life. Two, the plan is there. Three, the people are there. So we are going to mobilize them again. Again, the important thing is to have the plan. I always give the example of Japan, where they decided they have something they call the income doubling plan. They were going to double their GDP every 10 years. But because they mobilized so fast and so massively, they doubled it in 7 years. I've looked at some of our data actually where we also doubled GDP, I think, in 6 years. I forget the period. But it means we can do it. Japan did it in 7 years. We can do it. And this then will be spread through, and the major thrust of the Commission's work is what we call LED, local economic development.
When we went to Tamale, share is big. Cotton could be massive as well. A lot of the agro-processing things that you see, I think they have the potential, but I think the question is attracting FDI.
Yes.
And we have to also deal with issues of security because of some of the conflict issues. But the Tamale thing looks really good. Let's look at Ashanti briefly.
Okay.
Because I mean, it's our second largest city. So you have an Kumasi.
Yeah.
So it's a Kumasi master plan.
There is a greater Kumasi master plan, actually.
So this one we're coming to watch is called what?
This is the video for Kumasi, but it's based on the greater Kumasi master plan, which, by the way, took 2 years to prepare with Japanese government assistance. They actually put a consultant in Kumasi for 2 years.
So this Kumasi plan derives from the greater Kumasi master plan?
The greater Kumasi master plan. There was another one called WAGRIC, West Africa Growth Ring Corridor, that also funded by the Japanese. I actually went to Japan for that. And within that, they were going to place, I think, they were going to encourage 2 Japanese automobile companies to actually set up plants.
Because, of course, we have Suame. We have a lot of these markets. I'm told, in fact, that in the video, we are told that Suame and I think KJTR are 2 of the big nodal points. Let's watch the Kumasi video. Still on the point of view. Today, we're just reflecting on the plans that have been put in place. By 2047, here's the Kumasi video.
The Greater Kumasi Metropolitan Area, otherwise referred to as the Kumasi City Region or the Garden City of Ghana, is today one of the fastest growing economies in the West African sub-region. Sitting at the apex of the Golden Triangle of Ghana, the Kumasi City Region links the southern industrial enclave to the rest of the country. It also connects the cocoa-producing regions to the ports of Tema and Takoradi. The Kumasi City region is the second largest commercial and industrial hub of Ghana. The KJTR market provides the lifeblood of the city and is the largest open retail market in West Africa. The Swami Magazine area is one of the principal manufacturing clusters, offering local employment opportunities. As the capital of the Ashanti Kingdom and the site for the Menchia Palace, the city has a long-standing historical and cultural tradition that is globally recognized. Today, the Kumasi City region is experiencing many of the challenges often associated with rapid urbanization, namely uncoordinated spatial expansion resulting in slums, low densities, underserviced communities, increased traffic and pedestrian congestion, high levels of pollution, and low uptake of technology in the wide range of manufacturing and other industrial services. The Ghana Infrastructure Plan envisages optimal investment in and utilization of local resources and the economic base for the betterment of all Ghanaians. The vision is to transform the Kumasi City region into a revitalized, cultural and livable knowledge city, moving on from the calm and quiet image of the Garden City. Growth in the city will focus on creating a vibrant, diversified economy, creating livable urban spaces, conserving nature and cultural heritage, and providing sustainable infrastructure, as well as promoting efficient connections. The Kumasi Central Business District is being positioned to be the hub of financial and manufacturing sectors, bringing new jobs and businesses to the economy without diminishing the commercial and industrial functions that Kumasi is known for. Public transportation with new bus rapid transit lines will ease congestion and make traveling in the city center a comfortable and seamless experience. In this regard, green transport will be promoted by creating cycle paths and pedestrian walkways. Existing satellite markets will be modernized and new ones created. Green spaces will be preserved and new parks and recreational centers developed to encourage participation in sports and leisure activities. The pressure on the city center will be relieved by developing the Kumasi, Ejuso, and Kumasi Mampong urban corridors to promote mixed-use developments. New bus rapid transit lines shall link the Central Business District to various parts of Kumasi. An airport city enclave next to the international airport will be developed through public-private partnerships, and new bus rapid transit lines will provide access to the new international airport and its surrounding airport city. New towns will be developed to provide orderly suburban residential growth through private sector participation. Outside of the core area, agricultural land will be conserved for rural life, including agricultural production. Historical and cultural areas will be conserved and redeveloped to maintain the identity of Ashanti. From the exciting diversified economy to sustainable infrastructure development, opportunities abound for new partnerships between the old and new economy, as well as between private and public sectors. The Kumasi City region by 2057 will honor the traditions of the past and be a beacon for the future.
I like that shot of Kumasi. If you can show it again, the last building. Looks really nice. I see a lot of trees in there because I think the problem is we're losing our greenery. So show the last slide where it showed the skyscrapers with trees in the middle. I think that's really important, this one. Because I think the problem with modernization in our time is we are creating a concrete jungle. So convince me that whatever you do to Kumasi, it will not lose its green flavor.
Well, in a sense, it's going to be a restoration project.
Okay.
I always tell people that the name Garden City is not an empty one. Kumasi was actually the Garden City. There were gardens all over the place. That's where I was born. That's where I was raised.
You were born in Kumasi?
Yeah, I was born
and
raised
in Kumasi.
I'm a Bantama boy, so I know Kumasi very well. There's a place called Palace, and now they changed the name to Palemu. But these were nice gardens that the British built, tall trees, concrete benches. I'm told they've all been encroached upon. Even the little streams that we used to go and play in, they built churches over them and so forth and so on. So we need to find a way of reversing these things. It's not impossible. It's not. There's always land reclamation and all these other places, all these other things that we can do to do that. But again, as I said, the important thing is to get the indigenous peoples themselves, the residents, to say that, listen, we're embracing this thing, and no matter what anyone in Accra says, we are going to develop our cities, whether it's Kumasi or Tamale or Sekondi-Takoradi. This is just the national vision.
By the way, is there a plan for Accra?
Yes.
Because some people feel Accra is a lost cause.
It's not. Actually, Accra also has its own structure plan as part of the National Spatial Development Framework. But you see, can
you show that to me briefly?
I don't have it here with me.
Show me the Accra video.
The Accra video.
Because we are in Accra, we can't be developing other places and leave Accra.
I just learned that we always talk about brain drain. When we talk about brain drain, doctors, lawyers, and so forth, it turns out that urban planners, we are also losing them in large numbers.
This is the Accra video.
Where is it? Okay.
So let's hear what he's saying. Accra.
Population of 6.5 million. It is expected that the Accra City region will house 8.8 million by 2035 and grow further beyond that. For years, The Accra City region as the capital of the country has been the face of Ghana's image as the gateway of Africa, serving as the primary center for commerce, industry, and headquarters of government services. The Accra City region comprises 25 local government jurisdictions, with Accra and Tema as the central core, and bounded by the eastern and central region and the sea to the south. As one of the principal nodes along the Trans-West Africa Highway, the bisection of the Greenwich Meridian timeline through Accra and the geographic proximity to the equator enhances its appeal as an international hub connecting the American continent on the west, Europe to the north, and Asia to the east, and Southern Africa, attracting investment and optimizing opportunities for local businesses. Presently, the Accra City region is the nation's most important economic hub. In spite of the remarkable performance, the Accra City region is confronted by a number of critical challenges that constrain its further growth. The principal ones being urban sprawl, traffic congestion, poor housing and slum neighborhoods, poor sanitation, floods, and poor access roads. Notwithstanding these challenges, Accra aspires to reinforce its status as a gateway hub and envisions itself as a world-class city by 2057 under the Ghana Infrastructure Plan. In this vision, Accra will feature multiple commercial centers, a mix of land users, well-planned settlements and compact neighborhoods, an effective urban mobility system with different modes of transport facilities, a system of green parks and open spaces, protected natural resources, river bodies, and coasts. It will also feature trade and investment hubs and a strong international outlook. The shift of the financial district from High Street to Independence Avenue marks a key evolution of the central business district. New iconic developments are being built to match the global outlook. Old formal neighborhoods like Tudu, Kaneshi, and Kokomlemle, close to the central business district, will be revitalized to expand residential opportunities. And slums will be upgraded and sanitation systems improved. Emerging and new business districts to the east, west, and north of the city region will be complemented by new commercial, industrial, and residential developments. The old industrial enclaves shall be revitalized whilst new ones are also built. The enhancement of transportation infrastructure is key to the realization of the new developments. Therefore, existing roads will be widened and new arterial roads and ring roads will be added. The interchanges which are being built will be expanded to improve connections and ease traffic. To further reduce traffic congestion, the bus rapid system will be expanded to cover all main arterial roads. And to support the bus rapid system, new transport terminals will be developed with medium-rise residential apartments built close to these terminals. An improved railway system will also be developed to further reduce the use of private vehicles. The railway system will have overground lines, suburban lines, and an underground subway. The image of the city region as a global city is going to be enhanced by its worldwide connections through air, land, and sea. Lastly, significant investments will be made in information and communication technology to improve internet connectivity through broadband and fiber optic link. Accra, it's all about reaching, linking, and connecting.
So that was the Accra plan. Doc, look, we've seen nice shots, right?
Mhm.
Convince me that this is not just a pipe dream and that there's serious work going on to implement these plans. They look very nice, all right? The concepts are great, but the devil is always in the detail.
Yes.
And the rubber meets the road in implementation. So how optimistic are you that there's a determination from the very top to start putting these plans into action?
Well, as I said, and the president himself mentioned that during the launch, that infrastructure governance is going to be key in the operationalization of the the infrastructure plan, and also the long-term national development plan. And so that is going to be the very first step after the launch. Put together a team to give us the infrastructure governance, how projects are identified. Currently, because we don't have such a plan, for instance, our infrastructure decisions are sometimes driven by what Professor Bojo used to call commercial interests. They fly in here and start selling us all sorts of things that we don't even need, but they claim to have the money, they dangle it in front of us. Now we have kind of a menu. You may come in, select, but you must select from
what
these
we've already
things.
put in place.
Exactly. And then for every year, there will be priority. The plan itself proposes a number of priority projects that we need to, because they are catalytic. If you implement them, they have a knock-on effect on other things. They are all listed in there. We are going to review them and then put them out there. So they will be operationalized, but the central or the national government has its own role to play. But we're also going to work with the regional and sub-regional, that is the district assemblies, for them to also determine. So issues of roads, for example, I mentioned the role of capital budgeting by the district. We're going to build their capacity for them to be able to translate these beautiful images to reality, where you can actually touch and feel them. But overarching precondition, obviously, is our macroeconomic condition. Inflation needs to be low and stable. Credit to the private sector. One of the things I showed you, you didn't get a chance to see that, but you may review that later on, where credit to the import sector is higher than credit to the export sector. You cannot do that. So all those reforms, macroeconomic reforms, sectoral policy reforms, and then lastly, I have to mention that because of our focus on employment creation, NDPC is actually going to develop, we're going to train people to do what we call economic and employment impact assessment of all infrastructure programs, so that we know beforehand, if we spend a cedi, these are going to be the implications in terms of the expansion of the economy, in terms of the creation of employment opportunities, and more importantly, employment opportunities for Ghanaians. Because these days we have a lot of people coming in. I had a project, a renovation project at my house not long ago, and 6 of the 7 young men who showed up were from the West Africa region. They were not even Ghanaians. So we need to be very careful. We may end up launching a lot of projects thinking we are creating jobs for Ghanaian youth, when in fact we are not doing that. And that also then leads to skills development for Ghanaian youth. And I don't mean just hard skills, but soft skills, attitude towards work, attention to detail. I've been struggling with them. Just stop spilling paint everywhere. And then there's the issue of superstition, which is holding quite a few of them back, where someone doesn't do the work well, you bring in another person to do the work, and the first thing they complain about is so and it just ticks me off. What do you mean with your bobodia? And yet so many of them,
he will hit you with stick. A spiritual stick.
So we need to purge the minds of that other foolishness, and then they can take full advantage of the opportunities that this will bring. And so yes, by this time next year, we ought to.
But is there a mindset software plan? Because you can't build a hardware development infrastructure when people's mindsets are wrong, right? So there must be a behavioral change dimension to the whole project.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Again, we go back to the 40-year National Development Plan. There's a whole section called the Good Society Campaign.
Correct.
That was meant to transform our values, because I always say that in addition to budget deficits and trade deficits, we also have values deficits.
Thank you.
So we need to
budget deficit, trade deficit, values deficit.
Values deficit.
And I think that's where to start from.
Yes.
The right values would drive the right development.
It trumps everything. It trumps everything. Once you have the right values in place, you are gone. I mean, the issue of corruption, for example, I've come to the conclusion that if we were to resolve the issue of corruption substantially, we would have dealt with about 90%.
Last question. NDC will not be in power forever.
Yes.
What efforts have you put in place to ensure that whichever government takes over from NDC will continue with this, if you actually get to start it?
Well, first of all, we are changing tack. We are going to involve, among other things, the parliamentary caucuses. They need to understand the interest beyond political party allegiance for their constituents. We had a bit of that when we were doing the consultations in 2015, when the representative from MPP and NDC actually put aside their differences, and their focus was the welfare of the Western region at the time. We are now going to engage all the parliamentary caucuses, besides going out there and saying, listen, these are your plans. We are just technocrats in Accra. Don't let anybody come and tell you that on the basis of their personal preferences, they are not going to pursue this. Go to Accra and go and force them to do that. Also use your MPs to lobby for you. Some of the people who actually spoke against the 40-year plan were MPs whose constituencies or constituents would have benefited from the 40-year development plan, but because they were lacking the necessary understanding, they went against it. A typical example is the Greater Kumasi Master Plan. It pains me that it never really took off because we did so much work. I went to Japan over that. They promised to come and invest, only for some of the MPs from Ashanti region to speak against it because they never really understood. So now we are going to educate them that, listen, this is for you. Don't listen, well, you should still listen to the folks in Accra, but don't let them discourage you and undermine your progress.
Wow.
Yes.
These are good plans. We really pray they see the light of day. We'll be speaking to the chairman of the National Development Planning Commission. It's been really a video presentation, first of the Ghana Infrastructure Plan from now to 2047, and we also showed you 4 city plans. We pray everything goes according to plan, and of course we have a role to play as well. Thanks for watching tonight's edition of The Point of View. We'll see you next time. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Fresh air and fluffy sheep. Why a young French woman chose shepherding over other jobs. Smart and stylish. Serbia's eco-chic surprise at the Venice Architecture Biennale. And hero or colonizer, following the controversial steps of Christopher Columbus in Seville. These stories and more coming up on Euromax. No nightlife, no neighbors, just nature and freedom. For our series Living Differently, we met a young woman in France who's made a radical change. She traded city life for mountains and a whole lot of sheep.
Pauline Accard lives a secluded life. Here on a mountain pasture in the French Pyrenees, she takes care of around 800 sheep. Why did the 26-year-old choose the lonely life of a shepherd?
The sheep thank us every day in their own way. The beauty of this job is the unpredictability of working with living creatures. You never know what they're thinking, how they'll react, what they'll do next. You learn something new every day, and that's what's so great. It never gets boring.
Her job is to watch over the flock as they graze.
Stop! Eh! Pas bouger!
Pauline is responsible for the animals' well-being, ensuring they gain weight and stay healthy. Besides that, she must also make sure as few sheep as possible get lost, die, or are taken by bears.
Of course, there's pressure. We're responsible for the condition of the flock, making sure they all return, and that as many as possible get back to the valley at the end of the summer season.
Once the sheep are safely sheltered for the night, it's time for Pauline to return to her mountain hut. From late May to late October, this is her home, at 1,500 meters altitude. She lives here with her boyfriend and fellow shepherd, Anthony Cognac, and their 4 herding dogs. For Anthony and Pauline, evening conversations revolve mostly around work and sheep. It's their second season on the job, so shepherding is pretty new to them. 3 years ago, they left behind their hospitality jobs in the city. Today, cooking and eating well are their favorite, if only, leisurely activities.
You truly live with nature here in your own rhythm. Even though you don't get much sleep, in the end, it feels more restful than the stress of life in the city.
The next day begins at 7:30. Pauline and Anthony will be outside all day, so they prepare everything they might need. Sometimes they go together, sometimes separately, and sometimes they take turns herding, depending on the grazing area. The routes they take depend on the weather. Through rain, thunderstorms, and fog, they're always on the move.
Hello, girls. Are you still sleepy? You look lovely this morning.
It's an ancient profession. For thousands of years, livestock has been brought to graze on mountain meadows. This form of livestock farming is considered especially sustainable. So-called transhuman shepherding involves